Are we live? Yeah. Great. Welcome everyone to the City of Westminster Historic District Commission agenda. And we are recording. It is Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023 at 7 o'clock in City Hall at 1838 Emerald Hill Lane in lovely Westminster. I'd like to start by our statement of authority. The Westminster Historic District Commission derives its authority from Chapter 164, Article 9A of the City Code, which is authorized by the Maryland Code, annotated Land Use Article, Division 1, Single Jurisdiction, Planning and Zoning, Title 8, Historic Preservation. The qualifications of the Westminster Historic District Commission are on file at the City Administration Building at 45 West Main Street, and the file is open to the public. I'd like to follow up with a roll call since we do have a slim quorum.
Christine Amadori.
And your vice chair. Kristen McMaster's chair.
Grace Kelly, Commissioner.
Great.
Mark Depot, Director of Community Planning and Development.
Melissa Thorne, Economic Development Coordinator and Main Street Manager.
Fabulous, thank you. Let's jump right into old business. Historic District Commission Implementation Plan pursuing funding for inventory of historic buildings of the entire city, including cultural landscape, MHT non-capital historic preservation grants program. Melissa, would you like to go with this?
Yeah, actually. So proud to report that the application we set out to submit was submitted yesterday to the Maryland Historical Trust. I think we put together our best foot forward with our application. We talked about an architectural and an archaeological study or survey of the historic district. This was narrowed down from the entire city where we had spoken last after we had started talking to some professionals in this realm. The price point was up there, like $150,000. The total for this grant, the match was $75,000, but it's a little bit more than the city had prepared in our budget this year. So similar to how we kind of approached it in the meetings before, let's go with what we have with the district, and depending on if the need is there, we can always kind of expand upon it. So I think that we'll see what happens. We hopefully will find out November 1st if we're awarded or not. And then as we've written up in the grant application, the idea is we will be putting an RFP out in January of next year. And then we'll have to hit the ground running in March if we can get approval from the mayor and the common council. I'm not sure there's anything else to share other than the end result we're expecting will be a digital database that we can work with our city GIS staff. We have two awesome team members. The whole IT department is awesome, but specifically the GIS will be helping us with this. And we anticipate an interactive map that will really compile the data that's already out there and then new findings of research.
Yes, so can you tell us who our letters of support were from?
Sure. We had overwhelming support. I was really pleased with how it ended up. Today, we received a letter from all of the Maryland delegation. I sent Chris, Chair McMaster's a text today. So that was Senator Reddy. We had delegates April Rose and Tomlinson and Boucher. And that was really fun to get today. And we also received support from the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, McDaniel College. We have the Historical Society of Carroll County, the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area, and our own Mayor Becker submitted a letter.
And Commissioner Gordon.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Yes, Commissioner Gordon. So very excited. I think that was well supported.
I have to say a shout out to all of our great partners who wrote letters of support. To me, even if we don't get the funding, I walk away with my heart a little bit more to think that we have people who care enough to do that. And, it just makes such a big difference when people are looking at those letters of support and say, you know what, this particular municipality really cares. That is really, really important to me. And I want to thank city staff for all the hard work, because I know they put in many, many hours trying to pull this all off. It isn't easy. So thank you.
You're very welcome. We're happy to do it, and we should keep our eyes open for whatever else might be out there.
So if you see any of these people who wrote letters for support, be sure and take a minute and tell them thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like being nominated. We even just got into the race, so that's terrific, you know. We'll see how it works out, and you know, if we don't get funded, next year we'll have learned something, right? We might get some coaching as to how to even get better, so that's really good. Also, I had a little bit of help in there with Melissa, and I learned so much, and I've got some show and tell for us at the end, so my favorite part is show and tell, so we'll get to that. Any other questions about working on implementing our strategies for more historic preservation? Nope. All right, so then let's talk a little bit about the 250th anniversary. We just had a quick little internal meeting before this meeting, and we've got some things we hope to be working on. We hope to be working with our business partners in town through our Main Street manager, Melissa, and Chris is going to be working with her in the next few months as to thinking about how we can get businesses on board with the 250th. We've also thought maybe it'd be great to put some sort of permanent marker in town, and Grace will be working on that. We're thinking maybe Belgrove Square, because it is the Centennial Park, so that might be a good place to start. I'll be working with, what did I say I would do? I know I said I'd do something. Well, maybe I'm just helping everybody. We also have some thought about an educational component, getting reenactors in, and that should be fun. And then also maybe a plaque program where we have the buildings that were here for the 250th somehow identified. So we'll be working more in that direction, and we'll have another meeting to talk about our progress in the next couple of months. We have till 2026 for the 250th. So although that seems like a long time away, it really isn't if you're planning on looking for partnership support. Okay, new business. We have item A, section 106, review of modifications to the telecom equipment at 41st Street, AT&T. Melissa, would you like to talk to us a little bit?
Sure, I am going to share my screen just so the public can see what we're talking about. Yep. Okay, we're talking about our referred to as Father Joe's or 41st Street, McDaniel College's water tower. We received a notice on June 12th from Dana Freshcombe, project manager with Acer Associates, with information on the AT&T proposed antenna project, and includes the scope of work that entails replacing 6 existing antennas and 6 RRHs on the 162-foot water tank, as shown here. The antennas will be installed on existing mounts on the antenna corral on top of the water tank at centerline heights of approximately 164 feet, with tip heights of approximately 167 and 168 feet. The overall height of the structure will be increased to approximately 170.5 feet. They have also submitted a packet of the construction details. I have in your packet containing a few emails back and forth to the engineers, to the folks over at Acer Associates, trying to get a little more information about what I was reading in this engineering scope. And that's how, in one of our email correspondences, they did share it will be an increase in the antenna height. And then I also learned that the colors of the antennas are proposed off-white. And as you can see in this picture, that's what is on site today. But they did offer the option of the colors. And then there are 8 proposed, 8 manufacturer approved paint colors, if there was thought that that would be something that needed to be addressed. And as you can see, fairly recently, the tower was painted, actually, which I'm not sure was brought to the attention of anybody
It was not.
here. So we're just talking about those tinier structures at the top. And we're here bringing this information to you tonight so that we can comment on, so you can comment on the Section 106 review, which, as you recall, is the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966. Congress established a comprehensive program to preserve the historical and cultural foundations of the nation as a living part of community life. And this review process gives the public the opportunity to alert the federal government to the historic properties that we all value and influence decisions about projects that affect them. So we're asking for you tonight to weigh in on this particular replacement project with increasing heights and off-white and how this might impact the district, the historic district.
So I can give you a little background. I've worked on the Historic District Commission for I don't know how many decades, couple decades. And all of these that have come before us, we worked really hard at capping that height at 162 or whatever it is. So I think that it's definitely an adverse impact to the historic landscape. And I would really like to see them reconsider that height and offer us a mitigation to that height increase. Secondly, the color that's been picked up there has been several times picked over and over and over again because it's supposed to be the one that blends in with the sky the best. So rather than offer us standard colors, I would suggest the commission consider strongly holding them to the existing colors because that's supposed to be what causes the least amount of damage. And I don't see those colors on this list. So I would want to know if a mitigative action could be to maintain those colors.
Can I ask a clarification question?
Sure.
When we're referring to those colors, you're talking about this.
Existing gray.
This is the off-white.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is saffron yellow
Oh.
is the lightest they offer here.
Oh, sure. Because the way that it's. These are the painted colors. This is the unpainted version, if you will.
So as a mitigative measure, I would want them to stick with the existing colors rather than these alternate colors. That's because we were assured by folks that that is what's least visible. But I'd also challenge them to re-engineer to bring the height down to existing height levels as our absolute maximum. And only then could we have a finding of no significant impact. Otherwise, I would entreat them to consider a mitigative package. And a mitigative package would be, okay, you're damaging our historic district. What are you going to do to offset that damage? More than just paint. Because paint is existing. It's not really an offer of mitigation. So what I'm suggesting is we go into a dialogue with this particular developer who I've dialogued with before over the years. And I know they can reconsider. But challenge them to consider finding an engineering way to keep it to the height, keep it to the same color. And only then would we agree that there's a finding of no significant impact or a FONSI.
Well, I'm sure they have the technology to do it. I'm sure this is the easiest way for them to do it, and that's why they're offering, because and my guess is that every few years it's just going to get higher and higher.
Well, that's why we have it now.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, that's why we've held it to this cap for so many years.
Yeah.
So that's what I respond with and begin a dialogue. Next
Very
step
well.
would be, would the city write that up for us?
Yeah.
And would the commission approve my signature or? Yes, I'll come in and sign it.
Sounds great. Yeah, I can
Okay.
catch up.
Somebody has to make a motion to that effect. I guess make a motion to the effect that we suggest that we request a mitigative package include the existing height restriction and existing color. And that Krista McMasters can sign on behalf of the Historic District Commission, that comment.
So I make a motion that, the Acer, what's the name of the company? Make a mitigation packet considering the existing height and the existing color. And that Chair McMasters can sign it.
Second. All in favor? Aye. None opposed? Good. So we'll work on that letter and get it out ASAP. Thank you so much, Melissa.
You're very welcome.
We'll see where it goes. Okay, and no other new business? Then we can move on to Historic District Commission reports. Do you have anything for us? Do you have anything for us?
I'm just working on the Irish Town project. Started working on it this month, so I'm gonna go around and ask. There's certain people in my neighborhood that can ask questions about the church and the buildings, and when they're home on the beach, I'll be able to ask them those questions.
Well, good. I'm going to take this time as show and tell because I have found some more resources for our historic implementation plan. And we went on a little buying spree at the Historical Society. So the best part is you can get all this stuff yourself if you want. Here's some more resources I shared with Melissa to put in our grant. So have you seen this before? This Book of Westminster. This is available at the Historical Society. I think I actually have. I'm gonna spend some time chewing on it. It's got lots and lots of images of some of the homes in town and some of the interiors. So that's a good one. This is a good one. It's called Carol's Heritage by Joe Gaddy. He's a great distinguished scholar here in the area. And although it's about the whole county, it really does have a lot of Westminster focus. That's worth its weight to read. Here's a good one on William Winchester. So maybe the founding of the town isn't here. I don't know. Yeah, could be the easy thing to read. And it's just sort of exciting to link the history with a business, which is a tea house. Is it still in operation there, the William Winchester House?
Yes, it is.
So to me, that's nifty. That would be a business outreach. Here's another book by Bob Porterfield. It's called Photographers and Photographs of Carroll County, 1840 to 1940. And when I talked with the Historical Society, Kathy Beatty in particular, she said lots of times you don't know a historic photograph because you're not sure, but you can link it back to the photographer and what photographer was working in town here, and then link it to its date. So I'm really looking forward to tuning into this because who knows what the public might bring forward for us if we do a bigger public campaign. That's a cool thing. This is just reprinted now from the Historical Society. It's called Just South of Gettysburg. It really hits all the Civil War activities, not just Corpus Charge, but a previous invasion or a later invasion rather, an excursion on Pennsylvania Avenue and Main Street. And in the back is a great map of where the troop movement was. So this is now available at the Historical Society. And on Amazon, I got the old version of Just South of Gettysburg. And this also has a map in the back, but it's got older photos of, you know, Fitzhugh Lee and Hampton and some of the other folks who are, you know, here in town, Chamberlain, folks like that. But it has some fundamental differences from this one. This one's been updated and corrected. This one's the older version. It's kind of fun to have both. Here's an atlas of Carroll County. And I love it because it's got the business maps in here. And this is available through the Historical Society, but not just does it have, you know, the business layout of City of Westminster. I hope I can find it quickly. But it's got an awful lot of history of some of the descendants that were here. And towards the back, because this was a business atlas, you'll see a lot of the businesses in town. And you can link in with today's businesses. So there's a business hookup here that I think I look forward to digitizing parts of this. But you know that historic map on the south or on the west side of the Atlas building downtown, it's got the historic Westminster map.
Yes.
This is the source of that. This is the book where that map came from. So if you wondered, here it is. And then here's a bunch of earlier buildings and stuff like that. Whew, you can smell the mold.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Smell?
I know, this is like, well,
Yeah, here's the city of Westminster according to this atlas. So that's nifty. And then lastly, have another map. And this one's all of Carroll County. Whoops, put that in. This is also available at the Historical Society. And it's got names of folks in farms all over Carroll County. The date is. This is coming under somewhere. Yeah, gotta be under somewhere. I can't remember. Wait, 1862, so this is right in the middle of the Civil War. And to me, this is another great, it's a business-based, atlas. So who knows what you can learn off of it for downtown Westminster. All this stuff is again available at the Historical Society, if you want to learn more, go get yours. This is also available for research in color. It's sold in black and white, but it's available, if there's something you can't read on this, you can always go to the Historical Society and get a closer view. Maybe next month I'll share with you the Library of Congress resources on Westminster. So I shared with Melissa because I like to torture her.
No.
Library of Congress has a series of images of I meant to mention this earlier. Edison came to town because Thomas Alva Edison was so fascinated with the rural free delivery system that he wanted to do a movie of how we did mail here. Now, we were a big deal. We were the nation's first free rural delivery. And people didn't think it could be done. How could you deliver mail for free? And what they used to do is make people come into town and pick up their mail. But as soon as you started being able to mail stuff to farms, you could mail chickens. You could mail children. Children were put into the mail system. So you could send live animals out to the farms and the farmers would not have to come into town to pick up their mail. So Edison was so fascinated with this whole concept that he sent photographers here to Westminster, and those silent films are at the Library of Congress.
wow.
And I sent one to Melissa. She might not have been too impressed, but
I love all that, and I sent it to my teammates.
did you
Website.
Yeah.
So that was cool. The Library of Congress also has a series of business insurance maps called the Sanborn maps. They're for fire. And they have a lot of detail. And I really need to get disciplined and send you guys the city maps so that when people come to ask for tax credits, you have those maps on your server somewhere and you can send it to them instantly. And it's every 10 or 20 years.
They start 1860.
About 1860s, and I don't know if they went all the way through the 20s or not. But the best thing about those maps is that they're really worried about fire. So they have hydrants on there, they have wells, they have
Materials.
how many windows, what the structure was, whether it was log or brick or whatever. And you can see the evolution over time of additions being put on because they wanted to insure everything.
Interesting.
And so it's a nice snap. It's a little bit like the census. You can get every 10-year snapshot of what's going on in town. And it's little known and it's free. Oh, wow. So I can finish up my show and tell, and maybe next month I'll share with you guys digitally some of those other resources. I see some show and tell from city.
Yes. We reprinted the 250th anniversary walking tours. So these would have been done in 2014, but they are all still applicable today. So there's three, there's the Eastern walking tour, East Main Street, there's the West Main Street, and then one is commercial, it kind of spans this different types of buildings downtown, yeah.
So they're ready and available.
Mhm.
Are they digitally available on our website?
I don't believe I've done that yet, but we have dropped some off at our local Carroll County Tourism Office, which happens to be in this building.
Yes.
So they now have copies for the public. And we'll be distributing them in other places too. So wanted to show you that that was completed and we were not just sitting on any dollars. We were able to use some of our budget funds for those. Thanks to Chrome Creative for printing them.
This is great. Great fun.
Yeah.
This is really nice. I love this. It's really, this is another step in a great direction.
So this is another thing that through this grant process, I've learned that our GIS team had worked to make them available online, but they might need to be relooked at to make sure that wasn't an older rendition and that all of these properties are included in that, but they'd be able to help us with that too. Which is nice.
City staff, any other report they'd like to share with us?
Not that I can think of. We're moving forward with a water main project down Main Street. We'll be getting out to businesses along Main Street in the historic district area. Just to keep them informed and updated as the project moves forward.
Could you recap what the project is?
It's replacing the water main along Main Street from McDaniel College down to Longwell. So it's pretty substantial. The roadways won't be closed. We'll still provide two-way access along Main Street. You just will lose parking. And it'll be phased. So the whole roadway is not gonna be done at one time. It'll be phased out. So there will be times where we will not have parking in that area of Main Street, but again, maintaining two-way traffic.
So there's like at least one carriage step I can think of that might be in danger. Has anyone looked to make sure that path doesn't hit anything like carriage steps or boot scrapes or anything like that that's historic?
Not that I believe. Everything should be done in the right of way, from curb to curb. I don't think any work is extending outside of the curb, but we can certainly bring that to.
Are you gonna be cutting through the curb into where the trees, those cutouts are?
I don't believe so, but I haven't been part of any of the construction meetings, but we will bring this to John Dick's attention, Deputy Director of Public Works. Just to, maybe we do need a little briefing as to what's happening and just make sure there's no impacts.
I just remember years ago when they recurbed Main Street. The city had threatened to get rid of the carriage step in front of 206 East Main, in front of the Mary Shellman House, and the Historical Society had to have a throwdown to save it, and it was just overlooked in the planning, that's all. So I know there's a couple things down in that west side of town that are possibly within the right of way, but needs to be somehow engineered around or under, burrowed under. So I don't know what the plan is for how to do that.
Well, we'll look into that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to be a resource, so
Yeah.
give me a
Okay.
call.
Yeah.
I'll try and remember next time I go up and down that way.
And the bell tower's coming along. I think it's still planned to be completed by August.
And by the end of August.
Yeah, it's gonna be a celebration of some sort.
Yes, there is talk for a celebration for the bell tower. As I learn more, I will share more with you.
want to be invited, that's all.
There's,
I want to do anything helpful.
there's talk about a Back to the Future theme concept for the tower, the clock tower,
Oh my God, that's awesome.
as if you've ever seen the movie.
Mhm.
So there's a discussion about having some,
Grappling hook and people swinging on it or
I
something.
don't know to that extent, but yes, there will be I think, an event, is my understanding, and once I know more, we'll share it with you.
Don't forget us.
HCC.
Yeah, yes, very cool.
Don't forget us. That would be a fun party. All right, great. Anything else?
That's all I have for downtown.
One fun event coming up again August is the Westminster Welcome Walk. Where freshman students come from the campus and walk down into the city, hear some nice speeches on the library lawn, and then they're kind of off to kind of explore the downtown footprint. And the city is actually giving the students $10 vouchers to spend, like cash downtown. And then, so I'm looking forward to this, will be my first event seeing them come down.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Welcome walk.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, so our next meeting is September 6th. Is there any other business before us? If not, I want to thank all our commissioners for their time and city staff for coming on out. And thank you to the public for supporting us. Shall we call ourselves adjourned? The only time I ever